obviously want to get into the 93 and 95 World Championship teams a little bit. Can you talk a little bit, and this is actually from Bill Zadek was curious about this a little bit as well, but can you talk a little bit how those were each unique and special in their own way? And they were the first for USA Wrestling, 93 and 95. So obviously, and then he went on into that just to kind of go a little bit further and had a great 96 Olympic Games with the medal count and did extremely well there. But I want you to talk a little bit about those 93 and 95 teams, specifically that 93 team that just really, set the bar and blew it open and finally got USA essentially on the map, so to speak.
Yeah. Well, first off, in any organization or any team or any body that has success, there's a group that make that success happen. And my mentors at the time, my mentor actually was Dave Schultz. And so Dave really helped me understand older elite athletes, because I had coached high school and then I coached at Oklahoma State, where we had elite athletes, but you wrestle 45 times a year. I mean, you're wrestling every week, you're making weight every week, and the international scene is not like that. And so in my brain, I thought, we're going to outwork everybody. Well, Dave Schultz was 35 years old, and he told me in Bumgarner, and said, Bruce, we can't train the same way as Terry and Tom can. We just can't do it. And I'm thinking, oh, yes, you can, but you can't because you just don't recover as well. And so what I'll say is in 1993, we had a really good mix of younger guys and older guys. And I leaned a lot on Dave in terms of, well, help me with this, Dave. The technique part of it, everybody on those teams, they're all different. Don't get me wrong. I put together what I would say a competency test and technique. Everybody has to be proficient in these 20 things. You have to know what a gut wrench is, and you have to know how to defend it. And so everybody has to train in that area. But everybody on the elite level has specific and individual skill sets. They're not the same. You're not recruiting. They all come from different programs and different mindsets. Their conditioning level, each one of them is different when they step into a world team training camp or a situation like that. All their technique is different. All their strengths and weaknesses are different. And so the key for me, and it was a learning experience, and Dave helped me immensely with it, was putting together individual packages and training plans for each individual athlete. Now, again, there were certain things that everybody had to be good at. They all had to be good at it. And so, but the way they were good at it was completely different. I mean, an example would be Kevin Jackson. I didn't have to show Kevin Jackson a low single. He's never going to shoot a low single. But he had to be really good in a couple different areas. And he was so good that he really only had to prepare for 4 or 5 guys. You didn't have to prepare for 20 guys. And you don't know that until you get around them a little bit and you see the guys they have to compete against. But when they hit those 4 or 5 really good guys, they had to have a specific plan that would help them be successful against those guys. And that's not an easy thing either, because they are really good in certain positions. But what you have to understand, the rest of the world's pretty good too. And so I would say in preparing the 93 team and the 95 team, getting to know the athletes and what their skill sets were and what their strengths and weaknesses were. And so I can't even tell you how many hours I put into studying video of our athletes in comparison to 5 or 10 foreign athletes. And so if we got that draw of any particular athlete, and I ranked the top, I seeded them actually, the top 10 wrestlers in each weight class of our competition. And I had individual videos of each of those people already ready to go for 93. And then I knew what our athletes' strengths and weaknesses were. And so I did micromanage almost everything in terms of, I'm still a firm believer. I'm the guy that actually got the personal coaches back into the corners because they see the athletes on a daily basis, way more than the national coach does. And it was just, it was really a no-brainer in being able to get the personal coaches back into the corners. But the personal coaches didn't have the opportunity to study like I did over the course of the year because 70% of the time, if they're not winning collegiate matches, they're not going to have a job. And so those videos, that scouting, the preparation I would give to the personal coach and the athlete in terms of their preparation and say, look, this is what this guy does. You're better in this position. This is where you should be able to attacking. But if you get in this position, you better get out of it because that guy's really good. And so the preparation, that's what I'll say, was really geared towards our top athlete compared to, and I seeded 10 guys in each weight class. But a guy like Kevin, he didn't have to worry about 10 guys. He only had to worry about maybe 4 guys, you know?
Right.
And then 95 world championships, he had the toughest draw. It's really a good story. So always meetings, right? And I did this again when I came back and you were involved in it, you know, the night before. I want all the personal coaches, all the coaches together to go through step by step. Where's your athlete going to be? What's his preparation? Look at his draw. Here's the scouting. Here's what we have to be prepared for. Get you warm up. Well, Kevin Jackson had a beast of a draw. I think he had 4 world champions in his weight class on his side of the bracket. And Melvin Douglas in the meeting goes, oh, that's a terrible draw. That's a bad draw. And Kevin Jackson looked at Melvin Douglas and said, I'm the bad draw. They're the ones who got the bad draw. Yeah. And they've got to wrestle me. And that was a learning curve for me too, so, right? I mean, I'm in this meeting, it's my meeting, but Kevin, he sounded the alarm. Those guys better look out.
Right.
Because me.
So true. And he says that to this day to kids. He says that to this day.
Yeah. And he was a beast. So he won like 4 one-point matches, and the other one was a criteria match, and he's a world champion. I mean, he's a beast.
Right.
But that was the deal in mixing younger athletes, their first time out, the training camps. They all can't do the same thing. They just can't do it. And so individual plans are huge because they all come into the world team training camps at a little different level in their conditioning, in their tactics, in their strategy, and their preparation. And so you have to get them all on an individual basis, ready to step on the mat every time and compete at their very best. And I love that. And so, you know, I would say that was the preparation.